これ親指にはめて。
指輪か。
親指を立ててみて。いいねしてみて。
Hello, everybody. This is Gyagabe. Konnichiwa, minasan. これは Gyagabe です. Today, we're going to be talking about Death Stranding 2. As you can see, yeah, I just finished playing the game. I'm not finished playing the game. There's some packages I have to deliver and some roads I have to build. But that's my problem. But anyways, so yes, let's jump right into talking about Death Stranding 2 and how I've been using it to study Japanese. For people who are just starting out playing the game, one great thing about it is how addictive the building system is. Everything you build, everything you put in the game from a ladder to a bridge shows up in other people's games, and those other people can like that thing. And you can collect all these likes for basically what you're building in the game. And I feel like that system either interests people or doesn't. I found myself getting pretty addicted pretty early on, and none of that is related to language. And I think that's a great thing if you feel motivated to pick something up and it's also forcing you to study. If you don't have that motivation, like with a textbook, talk about Genki and Genki 2, I've never felt motivated to pick that book up. Not to say that the story here is better than Genki.
私はフラジャイル。あなたの名前は？討論マン？いえ、ドールマンの方がいいわね。
Yeah. But anyways, that's the main thing for people just starting out learning. You have to be motivated to learn, and Death Stranding 2 motivates you because you don't really need to speak any language to deliver packages in this game. You can just do it silently in your underwear until 2 a.m. Anyways, the second point I want to bring up for beginners is this game has a bunch of different dubbing options, and you can put the text in your native language. So the first half of my playthrough, because I knew this is a game that has a lot of like UI, like user interface writing and what I call letter garbage on the screen. You see all the time just these letters all over the screen. It's a little overwhelming. So I played the first half of the game with English text and Japanese dub.
まず最初は C1 シウダード・ヌード・デル・ノルテへ荷物を運んでキューピードをつないでほしい。メキシコでも遺体処理は切実な問題となっているの。人間の遺体が BT 化すればボイドアウトが起きる危険性が高まる。
The good thing about this dub for beginners and the content of the game being around, like based around these orders, is that it's repetitive. Every time you deliver something to somebody, they give you a spiel like this.
Welcome! さて報告はどうかな？どっから出てきたべこ？
こんな時間なのに来てくれたのか。では早速確認させてもらうよ。
外は暗いのにありがとう。報告を確認しますね。
These different announcements are all about deliveries, but they are all sort of worded different and they have different grammar that you can unpackage. If you listen to everybody in the game and how they say the phrase, "Thank you for your order, I'll check it out," each one has a little bit of different nuance. That's what you miss out on in a textbook, nuance. You just learn, "Hi, how are you? I'm from France." But here, just with sheer reps, you can start to know what they're talking about and know a bunch of different ways to say something, a bunch of different inflections for the same sentence.
時湯の中、大変だったでしょう。助かります。報告を確認しますね。
いや、来たか。すぐに報告を見るからちょっと待っててくれないか。
いらっしゃい。早速報告を確認しましょう。
こんな雨の中来てくれたのか。早速報告を見てみるよ。
This is a good example of different ways to say the same thing. When you're learning how to speak a different language, it's important to recast what you're saying in different ways if you come across language barriers. If you're saying something one way and it's not translating, then you should be able to say it, or should try to say it a different way. This sort of practice, I think, is sort of overlooked, but it's invaluable. Understanding the nuances behind different ways things are said and how different people can talk about the same subject in a different way. Moving on to people who are using the game to study for the JLPT N1 or N2. Yeah, that's when you could change the game into all Japanese text. One thing that used to happen to me when I would turn games into all Japanese text, and if it's a game like The Witcher 3 or Horizon Forbidden West, or a game with a lot of user interface and a lot of text, there's like a common reaction to just like panic and have a meltdown. Yes, that feeling of looking at a page full of kanji and having a panic attack, I think, is one every person who has studied Japanese for long enough can understand. But yeah, it's up to you how crazy you want to make yourself with this game. Like I said earlier, the corpus is a good place to go. It has a lot of valuable information. It explains the story, or tries to. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to understand the genius that is a guitar battle with your nemesis who is magically alive. I don't know. It's not important. But yeah, reading through the corpus is a great reading exercise.
レイニーのコアフォールがサムの体を治してくれたんだ。傷はもう癒えている。
Another thing I did while playing this game was shadow reading, or sight reading, following the dialogue of a character. In a cutscene, I would look at the Japanese text and I would listen to the character's dialogue and sort of match those two. Sometimes with different readings of kanji, especially at a high level, you can know what the kanji means, but you have forgotten how to read it or don't know the correct reading in that situation. So this kind of practice can show you where the holes are in your reading comprehension, which in Japanese is there's going to be a bunch of different holes because you need so many reading reps in order to understand what the correct reading of certain kanji is in certain situations. So yeah, a guided reading can help you find gaps in your reading ability. All right, so that's Death Stranding 2. I think it's a pretty great way to study because it's so addictive and it just pulls you in. And because you're pulled in, you're forced to navigate all the user interface. And if you're crazy enough, I think, make a stab in the corpus at finding out what Kojima meant by it all. But anyways, it's been a great 70 or so hours that I've had with the game so far. I do fall into the 79%, 80% of people who are still playing the game once the story is done. I have some roads to build and some things to do. So, anywho, I have some videotapes I have to return. Anyway, so that's Death Stranding 2. Please let me know what you thought about the game in the comments, or if you played the Japanese version to study Japanese. Yeah, and if you like this video or like the content, subscribing and liking and just participating in any way you can really helps me out. But feel free not to. That's fine as well. All right. これは Gagabe です。This has been Gagabe. You have a good one. じゃあな。